I started a new job, and my new boss turned out to be the man who ruined my life. Revenge is coming. Hello, our pro revenge community, or RAMI the asshole, or wherever else you read such stories about career dramas and revenge. I'm not sure where this fits best, as for now it's more about seeking advice than action. I'm from the USA, working in IT finance, specifically as a data analyst for investment companies, where I deal with risk modeling, processing large data sets, and creating algorithms to predict market trends. This is my story unfolding right now, and I'm writing it because I need your opinion. I'm in complete despair and don't know how to proceed. A heads up, this will be a very, very long post, as I want to describe everything in detail so you understand the full context, emotions, and nuances. I'm not just pouring my heart out, I'm trying to figure out if I should do something or just swallow it and move on. TLDR at the end, but if you have the time, please read everything, as the details are important. Let me start from the beginning so you understand how it all came to this. A few years ago, around 2022, I worked for a medium-sized investment firm in New York, a company that specialized in asset management for large clients like pension funds and corporations. I was one of the key analysts in the data department. My responsibilities included collecting and cleaning data from various sources, such as stock exchange quotes, company financial reports, macroeconomic indicators, building complex models in Python and R for risk assessment. For example, VAR value at risk models, which help predict potential losses in investment portfolios. I also created Tableau dashboards for data visualization so management could make quick decisions. My work brought real results. Thanks to my models, the firm avoided several risky deals that could have cost millions, and even attracted new clients because our forecasts were more accurate than the competitors. I was proud of it. I worked overtime, learned new tools like machine learning with TensorFlow, and even published articles on LinkedIn about data optimization in finance. The salary was good, my career was on the rise, and I thought this was my chance to establish myself in the industry. But then my boss appeared. Let's call him Dave, not his real name, but it suits his classic look, middle-aged with a fake smile and always in expensive suits. Dave was a typical toxic manager in the financial sector, a narcissist who built his career on the backs of others. He didn't have deep technical knowledge. His expertise consisted of stealing his subordinates' ideas, presenting them as his own in meetings with senior management, and shifting the blame for his mistakes onto the team. For example, if a client complained about inaccurate data, Dave always found a culprit on the team, even if the problem was in his own instructions. With me, it started with small things. He ignored my suggestions in meetings, but later presented them as his own. Then came the manipulations. He started falsifying reports, introducing errors into my models, for example, changing parameters and scripts to make the forecasts look inadequate, and then publicly accusing me of negligence. I tried to defend myself, showed change logs in Git where you could see who edited the code, but Dave had connections in HR and convinced everyone it was my responsibility to check everything. The climax happened with a major client, an investment fund that entrusted us with managing $50 million. I prepared a detailed risk analysis, but Dave adjusted my report, deleting key warnings about market volatility because he wanted to show optimism to close the deal. When the market crashed due to geopolitical events I had predicted, the client lost money and blamed us. Dave immediately threw me under the bus, said I carelessly processed the data and violated ethical standards, allegedly ignoring the signals. I was fired for cause my record was marked with unreliability in data handling, breach of confidentiality, though this was a lie, and insufficient competence. In the financial industry, this is a black mark. Reputation is everything, and with such a record, no one wants to take a risk. I tried to fight, hired a lawyer with my last savings, filed a complaint with the company, and even considered going to court, but without strong evidence, Dave cleaned everything up in the systems, and with a limited budget I lost. The firm simply paid out minimal compensation and forced me to sign an NDA non-disclosure agreement, so I couldn't publicly talk about the details. After that, hell. 2 years of unemployment. I sent out hundreds of resumes, went to dozens of interviews, but as soon as HR checked my references or record, it was over. Sorry, we're looking for someone with a clean reputation, they said. I lived on freelance work, small projects on Upwork like data cleaning for startups or simple scripts for small businesses, but it paid pennies, barely enough for rent for my apartment in New York, food, and credit card debts. Depression set in, sleepless nights where I woke up in a panic, thinking if I'd have to move back in with my parents or even live on the streets. Friends advised me to move, change fields, but in IT finance, it's not that simple. The skills are specialized, and I didn't want to throw away everything I had built over the years. I even went to a therapist on free sessions through insurance, where I talked about my anger towards Dave, about how he destroyed not only my career but also my self-confidence. Why me? Why did he get off scot-free? These questions tormented me daily. And then, after 24 months of this nightmare, a ray of hope appeared. I received an offer from a small analytics company in Chicago. They deal with fintech solutions for small businesses, like automated credit risk reports, transaction analysis, and simple AI models for cash flow prediction. The company is clearly in trouble. From their website and LinkedIn, it's evident they've lost several key clients due to competition from big players like Stripe or QuickBooks, accumulated debts. I checked through public reports. They cut staff by 30% last year and are now hiring quickly to survive. The hiring process was lightning fast. Just one Zoom interview with an HR manager, where they asked basic things about my experience with Python, SQL, and data models, but didn't dig deep into my past, probably due to lack of time or resources. There was no reference check from my previous employer, just a standard criminal background check. The salary is modest, 20% lower than what I had before, but with the possibility of remote work initially, then relocation to the office in Chicago. I was overjoyed like a child. Finally a chance to revive myself, work for a year or two, gather new references, clear my record over time, and get back into the big leagues. I signed the contract online without hesitation. After so many rejections, it seemed like a gift from fate. The first days at the new job were routine but promising. I set up my work computer, installed Anaconda for Python, connected to their Oz database, studied the code repository on GitHub. My tasks included analyzing client data, for example, processing transaction logs to detect anomalies, writing scripts to automate daily financial risk reports, and even improving their machine learning model for predicting loan defaults. The company is truly in chaos. Old servers, frequent crashes, non-standardized processes, each analyst does things their own way, dirty data, lots of gaps and errors. But I thought it was temporary, I could help fix it, and it would become my achievement for my resume. The team is small, HR is friendly, and no one mentioned my history. I didn't emphasize it, as I saw no need. But then on the corporate Slack chat, an announcement appeared that turned everything upside down. Welcome back to our CEO Dave. He will take full control and lead us out of the crisis. Details at the all-hands meeting next week. My heart stopped. I felt the blood drain from my face. I immediately started digging deeper. Checked Dave's LinkedIn, he hadn't changed his profile. Looked at corporate documents in the company database, and even searched public registries through SEC filings for small companies. It turned out that Dave had bought a controlling stake in this firm about 6 months ago, after his previous company, the one where I worked, had a scandal and he left peacefully, avoiding responsibility, probably through connections. Now he's the CEO here, but wasn't directly involved in the hiring. HR handled it, and they didn't know about my history with him. I work under a standard login, but due to the remote start and lack of personal meetings, Dave probably isn't aware that I'm here yet. He thinks I'm just one of the cheap hires brought in to save the sinking company. I'm boiling with anger, confusion, and fear. This scumbag ruined my life, my career, finances, mental health, and now I'm under his control again. I can't just leave. After such a break in employment, it would be another stain on my resume, and who would hire me with 2 failed experiences. But working under him, I don't know if I can stand it. Maybe he'll recognize me at the meeting and it will all repeat, or will he just ignore me as if nothing happened? I'm writing this to hear your opinion. Should I do something? Or just keep quiet, do my job, and wait for better times? Or maybe talk to HR or look for a lawyer again? Please give me advice because I'm in a stupor. TLDR, my ex-boss ruined my career with falsifications. After 2 years of unemployment, I ended up in his new company by accident. Now I don't know what to do. Should I take action or just wait it out? Update 1. Wow guys, thank you for all your advice in the original post. I read every comment, some advised to just leave quietly, some to talk to HR, and some even joked about revenge in the style of Office Space. But life just threw me a plot twist that changed everything. This will be a long update, as I want to tell everything in detail, from my emotions to how events unfolded day by day. I'm still in Chicago, moved here to work in the office after the first few weeks remotely, and now the company seems like an even bigger trap than I thought. TLDR at the end, but if you're a drama fan, read it all, it's like a series, only real. A couple of weeks passed after the original post. I decided to lay low, as many advised, do my job, keep my head down, and wait until Dave notices me or I find a better vacancy. Emotionally, it was hard. Every morning I woke up with anxiety. What if Dave recognizes me? What if the same thing repeats? I remembered the past, how he falsified my reports, changing data in Excel before submitting it to the client, and then accused me of input errors. How he yelled in meetings, "You're incompetent if you can't check everything yourself." And now I saw him doing the same to others. For example, at the weekly meeting, I was still remote at that point, but moved to the office a week later. Dave criticized the team for slowness. "You're all like snails here. If you don't speed up, I'll find someone to replace you." But that was just the beginning. The company is truly in crisis. Clients complain about inaccurate reports, servers crash due to overload, and the budget for equipment upgrades is zero. My tasks expanded. Now I wasn't just analyzing data, but also responsible for process automation. I wrote Python scripts for parsing client transactions, for example, extracting data from bank APIs, cleaning noise in CSV files with millions of rows, and building models on scikit-learn to predict financial risks. This involved working with sensitive data, account numbers, transaction histories of small businesses who trusted us for creditworthiness assessment. I knew that one wrong step, and the company would lose trust because in fintech, reputation is key. The key moment happened in the third week. We had a colleague, let's say Alex, a young analyst, similar to me a few years ago, ambitious, technical, but without experience in office politics. Alex was working on a big project, data analysis for a client, a small retailer who wanted a loan. He built a model in R that predicted cash flow based on historical sales, and everything was perfect. I checked his code on GitHub, and there were no errors. Dave, as always, interfered. At the meeting, he said, "Alex, your model is shit. It shows too high a risk, the client won't sign. Rework it to look optimistic." Alex tried to explain, "But the data shows a real risk due to sales seasonality. If we falsify it, the client could go bankrupt and will be sued for negligence." Dave got angry. "Are you teaching me? This is business, not science. Change the parameters or I'll write you up for incompetence." I was sitting in the conference room, already in the office, and felt déjà vu. It was exactly like with me. Alex changed the model under pressure, but the client refused anyway, sensing something was off. Then Dave threw Alex under the bus. At the next meeting, he publicly said, "Due to Alex's errors, we lost the client. He carelessly processed the data, ignored my instructions. I'm forced to fire him with a bad recommendation as an example to others." Alex left in tears, whispering to me in the smoking area. "He made me change the data himself, and now I'm unemployed with a stain on my resume. How do I live on?" I was boiling. This wasn't just a memory, it was a trigger. Dave hasn't changed. He ruins people's lives for his ego, and now with the company in trouble, he's doing it even more harshly. I thought, if I do nothing, he'll ruin someone else, and I have the tools to stop this. That evening, I didn't sleep. Emotions overwhelmed me. Anger at Dave, sympathy for Alex, and suddenly, an idea for revenge. Not just leaving, but ruining him like he did to me. The company is vulnerable, dependent on my scripts for daily operations. I started planning sabotage, not crude, but intelligent, so as not to get caught immediately. First, I erred in a script for report automation. Added a small bug in the Python code that randomly changed decimal points in financial data. For example, 1,000 became 100,000 or vice versa. It looked like a human error in data import from APIs. The result, client reports came out with errors, and several small businesses complained about inaccuracies in risk assessment. Dave was furious, but blamed the old system, not me. Then I went deeper. In the AWS database, I accidentally set up incorrect permissions, so some sensitive data like client SSNs became accessible to lower access levels. This wasn't noticed immediately, but when a mini-leak happened, I simulated it by sending an anonymous email to a client with a random screenshot. The company got a warning from regulators like FDIC for fintech. Panic, Dave yelled in meetings, "Who did this? We'll lose our license." I stayed silent but laughed inside. It was like payback. But the real sabotage went into the risk models. I was responsible for ML models on TensorFlow for predicting defaults. I optimized them, added bias to the training data, so the models overestimated risks for all clients by 20–30%. For example, the script that processed transactions. Instead of normal data normalization scalar, fit transform X, I added a condition that for certain clients, those Dave considered key, it multiplied risk metrics by 1.25. The result, reports showed high risk even for stable businesses, and clients started leaving. "Your analytics scare banks, we won't get a loan." The company lost 3 clients in a week, debts grew. I documented everything, saved change logs where it was visible that the errors came from CEO instructions. I falsified emails from Dave, using his style change parameters for optimization. Emotionally, I felt like a superhero. After years of humiliation, I was finally in control. But the risks were there. If caught, I'd be convicted for sabotage. So I planned further to find leverage for pressure. For now, the company is wobbling, Dave is in stress, and I'm waiting for the moment. What do you think, guys? Continue or stop? Thanks for the support. TLDR saw Dave set up a colleague just like me. It became the stimulus. Started intelligent sabotage, bugs in scripts, data leaks, bias in ML models. Company is losing clients, Dave is in panic, planning further. Update 2. Hello again, our pro revenge community. Wow, your response to update 1 was incredible, over 300 comments, some calling me a revenge hero, some warning about legal risks, thanks, I've taken it all into account, working anonymously and with a VPN, and some sharing their own stories about toxic bosses. This inspired me to continue, because after that trigger with Alex, the setup colleague, I couldn't stop. I decided to deepen the sabotage, not just small pranks, but a systematic plan to hit the company's and Dave's weak spots. This will be a mega-long update, as I want to describe everything step by step. My actions, technical details, since we're in IT finance, where data is everything, the emotions overwhelming me, and how the company started to fall apart. I moved to Chicago completely. The company paid for part of the move, as I'm a valuable employee, settled in a small apartment near the office, and now had full access to the systems. Warning, detailed with code examples and processes, because without it you won't understand how cunning it was. TLDR at the end. After Alex's firing, who, by the way, wrote to me later on LinkedIn, he found temporary work, but with a stain on his resume like I had once, and is planning to sue. I felt it was my moment. The company was already wobbling. Debts were approaching $400K. I saw internal reports in Google Sheets, which I had access to as an analyst. Clients were down to about 15 from the initial 50, as competitors like Plaid or Yodlee were taking the market with better tools. Dave at meetings became paranoid. We must survive, everyone do more or leave. But he didn't understand that I was the key to many processes. As a senior analyst now after the layoffs, I controlled automation, scripts for data processing, ML models for risks, even dashboards for the CEO, i.e. for him. I started sabotage small to avoid suspicion. Everything looked like system errors or human factors. First, I focused on scripts for daily reports. We used Python with pandas, NumPy, and schedule libraries for cron jobs. One key script was an automated process for analyzing client transactions. It extracted data from APIs like from Stripe or banks, cleaned it, removing none normalization, calculated risk metrics, e.g., churn rate or fraud score, and generated PDF reports. I added a subtle bug in the data cleaning function def clean data df. I inserted a condition if random 0.05 df amount equals df amount, 1.1 meaning with a 5% probability. It inflated transaction amounts by 10%. This wasn't immediately noticeable as the data was large, millions of rows, but over time clients started complaining. Why do our forecasts show higher expenses than actual? One client, a restaurant chain, thought they had a money leak and ordered an audit which found nothing, but trust was shaken. I committed this to Git as a minor optimization for handling outliers, and no one checked because Dave cut code reviews to save time. Emotionally, it was like a drug. I sat in the office, watched Dave get complaint emails, and smiled inwardly. You ruined me with falsifications, now it's your turn to feel the chaos. Next, I went deeper into the database. We used PostgreSQL on AWS RDS, with tables for client data, transactions, users, risks. I had admin access, because after layoffs, I became the temporary DBA. I created a trigger, create trigger subtle noise after update on transactions for each row execute procedure add noise, where the add noise function added random noise to the risk score fields, e.g. new risk score equals old risk score plus random, 0.05, 0.025. This made predictions unstable. One day risk was low, the next higher for no reason. The result, clients like an e-commerce startup started asking, why do your models fluctuate? We can't plan budgets, Dave yelled in a meeting. Who set this up? Fix it immediately. I helped, said it was possibly due to API changes from providers, and fixed it temporarily but left the trigger for the future. The company lost 2 clients. They switched to competitors because your analytics are unreliable. Debts grew. Dave cut lunch breaks and bonuses, saying we're in crisis because of all of you. I was boiling. He bought the company in trouble and now blames the team. Emotions came in waves. During the day, I was the perfect employee. Helped junior analysts, only 3 left. Optimized visible scripts, e.g. sped up Power BI dashboards by adding caching, so Dave thought I was on his side. But in the evening in my apartment, I planned the next move. Remembered my 2 years of unemployment, how I ate ramen and avoided friends out of shame, how Dave laughed when I was fired. You're not worthy of this firm. This was fuel for revenge. The next step, ML models. We had models on scikit-learn and TensorFlow for predicting loan defaults, e.g. random forest classifier for fraud detection. I improved the training. In the train model, PyScript, I added bias to the dataset during preprocessing xtrain, whitetrain equals preprocessed data. I filtered samples so that for Dave's key clients, those he saved with falsifications, the model underestimated risks, deleted negative samples with a 10% probability. The result, models gave the green light to risky businesses, and one client, a startup, got a loan but went bankrupt a month later, blaming us for poor analytics. The bank using our reports threatened a lawsuit. Dave panicked and called a meeting. This is sabotage, checked the logs, but I cleaned my tracks, used anonymous commits via Git rebase and a VPN from another country. Meanwhile, I dug deeper for leverage. As an analyst, I had access to financial bookkeeping, QuickBooks and Excel files with expenses. I started analyzing internal data, supposedly for cost optimization. And here, the bomb, Dave was stealing money. In expense reports, he falsified invoices. For example, for Oz, actually $5K month, but he recorded $15K, and the difference $10K was transferred to a fictitious consulting firm. I checked through public registries. The firm was registered to his relative. Details. In the expenses table, there was a vendor column where Consulting LLC appeared monthly with payments via PayPal to an account linked to Dave. I found emails in Outlook where he confirmed transfers. He also inflated salaries for ghost employees, added fake employee records to payroll, and the money went to him. In total, over 6 months, about $100K stolen. I collected evidence, screenshots, SQL queries, select from expenses where vendor like %consulting %, and date 2023-0101, transfer logs, even compared them with bank statements, to which I had limited access. This could lead to an IRS or SEC audit, as the company had filings as an LLC. Emotionally, I was trembling. Now I've got you, you scumbag. You're not just toxic, you're a criminal. I saved everything on an encrypted drive, ready to strike. The company was meanwhile falling apart. Clients down to 8, debt $600K. Dave was looking for investors, but the sabotage made reports dirty, so no one invested. He fired another analyst, blaming them for errors which I created. I waited for the moment for confrontation. What do you think, guys? Continue sabotage or strike with the leverage now? Thanks for the support. Without you, I would have given up. TLDR, intensified sabotage, bugs in scripts, noise in the database, bias in ML models. Company is losing clients and money. Found evidence of Dave's theft, falsified expenses totaling $100K, now have leverage for pressure. Revenge is gaining momentum. Update 3. Hello again, RPro Revenge. Your comments on Update 2 were fire. Some wrote, this is like Ocean's 11 in it. Some advised keep evidence in the cloud, not on a local disk. And some shared advice from lawyers, thanks. I consulted anonymously with a labor law attorney in Chicago. After finding evidence of Dave's theft, I couldn't just sit. The sabotage was doing its job, but I wanted a personal confrontation, so he would feel the same pain I did 2 years ago. This update is about the climax, how I used the leverage, demanded compensation, clearing of my record, and left the company. Again, a mega-long post details of the negotiations, emotions, legal nuances, because it's not just I said he paid, but a real game of chess. I'm still in Chicago, but was already looking for a new job, sent resumes to Boston and San Francisco. Warning, emotionally intense with quotes and steps, TLDR at the end. After gathering evidence, a dossier of 150-plus pages, screenshots, logs, SQL dumps, emails, I planned the strike. The company was on the edge, clients down to 5, debts exceeded $700K, Dave canceled all vacations and forced 12-hour workdays. At meetings, he looked exhausted, hair graying, voice trembling. We will find the saboteur, I'll hire IT auditors. But auditors cost money, which they didn't have, so these were empty threats. I continued sabotage quietly. For example, in the Power BI dashboard, I added a glitch where risk graphs sometimes flipped, using a custom visual with a JS error, and Dave couldn't present to investors. Emotionally, I was at my peak, a mix of fear, what if I'm caught, and euphoria, finally control in my hands. I remembered how Dave yelled at me in the previous firm, "You're nobody, I'll destroy you." Now I was ready to say, let's see who's nobody. I started with an anonymous email, created a fake ProtonMail account, anonymous, sent Dave part of the evidence, a screenshot of falsified expenses for $10K, a log of a transfer to his account in text. I know about your schemes with Consulting LLC. Meet me tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the Starbucks on Michigan Ave, where the evidence goes to the IRS, SEC, and shareholders. I knew who the shareholders were from corporate documents. Don't bring a phone, come alone. He replied in an hour, "Who are you? This is blackmail, I'll call the police." But I sent another screenshot. "The police will be more interested in your thefts. Come," he agreed. I chose a public place for safety, took a voice recorder in Illinois, one-party consent recording is legal, and a flash drive with a copy of the dossier. The meeting was tense. I sat at a table. Dave came in, looked like a ghost, eyes red. He sat opposite. "Who the hell are you? What do you want?" I smiled. "Remember me, Dave, the analyst you threw under the bus 2 years ago in New York. You falsified my reports, ruined my career, wrote unreliability. Now I'm here, and I have evidence that you're stealing from your own company." He turned pale, eyes widened. "You? How did you? Was it you who sabotaged everything? You scumbag, I'll fire you." I showed the flash drive. "Try it. But first, look, here are transfers for $100K, fake vendors, even your emails. This is tax fraud, you could get 5-10 years. The shareholders will tear you apart, clients will sue." He trembled. "What do you want?" "Money." I laid out the demands. 1. Clear my record, delete all negative entries from the previous firm. You have connections. Give me a positive written recommendation. 2. Compensate for losses. $120K for 2 years of unemployment, lost salary $80K, debts $20K, therapy $10K, move $10K. 3. Fire me with good cause and a 3-month severance. 4. Sign an NDA not to pursue me. Otherwise, evidence goes to regulators and the press. I had contacts in fintech forums. He argued, "That's too much, I don't have that much." I stood up. "Then goodbye, the email to the IRS is already in draft." He stopped me. "Wait, fine, but give me time." Negotiations lasted a week. I hired a lawyer anonymously through Upwork, paid $2K from savings for the agreement. Dave signed, cleared my record. I checked through a background check service, now clean, paid $120K via wire transfer to my account, marked as compensation for past services, gave a recommendation, highly qualified analyst, recommend for any role. I signed the NDA, but with a loophole, anonymous leaks weren't forbidden. Emotionally, it was the peak. When the money came, I cried. After years of poverty, finally justice. I resigned. On the last day, I accidentally sent part of the evidence to the shareholders via delayed email using Gmail scheduler. The company started an internal audit. Now I'm free, packing my things, have an offer from a new firm in Boston, a fintech giant, salary plus 50%. But I'm waiting for news about Dave, rumors that the audit found the thefts. What do you think? Should I send him a thank you anonymously? Thanks for the support. TLDR, confronted Dave with evidence, demanded and received a cleared record, $120K compensation, firing with severance. Left the company, sent evidence to shareholders. On the way to a new job, revenge almost complete. Update 4. Hello everyone on our Pro Revenge. Wow guys, your response to Update 3 is off the charts. Over 500 comments, some writing, "This is the best revenge story I've read in a year." Some sharing their own stories about toxic bosses, thanks. It's inspiring to know I'm not alone. And some warning, be careful with the NDA, don't brag too much. Don't worry, everything is anonymous, names changed, details slightly masked. After that confrontation with Dave and receiving compensation, I thought it was the end, revenge complete, time to move on. But life, as always, threw in a final twist that made everything even sweeter. This is the last update, as the story has reached a logical conclusion. I'm in a new job in a new city, and Dave, well, more on that below. Again, a mega-long post, details of my move, new job, how I learned about his downfall, the emotions that overwhelmed me, and reflections on it all. If you're a fan of drama with a happy ending, read it all. If not, TLDR at the end. Thank you for the support throughout all the updates. Your advice helped me hold on and not break down. After signing the agreement with Dave, which I remind you included clearing my record, $120K compensation, a positive recommendation, and firing with a 3-month severance, I didn't delay. The money arrived in my account in 2 days, a wire transfer marked compensation for services, all legal through the lawyer to avoid tax issues. My lawyer advised declaring it as a reputational damage payment. I felt a relief I can't describe. After 2 years of debts, $20K in credit cards, rent in New York I could barely afford, I could finally breathe freely. The first thing I did was pay off all debts. $20K credit cards, $5K to my therapist. I went to sessions for depression caused by Dave, and even bought new gadgets for work, a new MacBook and monitor, as the old one was barely holding on. Emotionally, it was catharsis. I sat in my Chicago apartment, looked at the banking app with a positive balance, and cried not from sorrow, but from joy. Finally, I thought, this scumbag paid for everything. For my sleepless nights, for my lost confidence, for how I avoided mirrors because I looked like a zombie from stress. But I didn't celebrate long, knew I had to move on, as Chicago reminded me of the company and Dave. I already had an offer from a new firm, a large fintech giant in Boston, specializing in AI for investments, similar to my old job, but with a focus on blockchain and crypto. The hiring process was smooth, thanks to the cleared record and recommendation from Dave, which sounded like highly qualified analyst with experience in risk models, recommend for any role. I passed 3 interviews without problems. They asked about the past, but I briefly said, there was a break due to reorganization at the previous firm, but now everything's fine. The salary 50% higher than at Dave's, about $150K a year plus bonuses, full package, health insurance, 401K, remote work with an option for an office in downtown Boston, and even stock options. I accepted the offer immediately, signed the contract online, and started packing. The move was quick, hired movers for $2K from the compensation, loaded boxes with Python and ML books, clothes, and small things, and took the Amtrak train to Boston, not a flight, because I love watching the scenery and thinking. On the way, I remembered the whole story. How Dave falsified my reports in New York, changing data in Excel, e.g., deleting rows with risks to make deals look safe. How he yelled in meetings, "You're incompetent if you don't check everything yourself." How I lost everything because of his ego, and now I was the winner. In Boston, I settled in a small apartment in the Back Bay area, rent $3K a month, but with a view of the Charles River, where I can run in the morning to relieve stress. The new job started a week after the move, onboarding on Zoom, where I was introduced to the team, about 50 analysts, focused on big data. My responsibilities are similar, but cooler, developing ML models on TensorFlow for predicting crypto market fluctuations, analyzing blockchain transactions for fraud, using graph neural networks with PyTorch, creating Tableau dashboards with real-time data. The first days were like a dream. Bosses are adequate, the team is collaborative, no toxicity. For example, at the first meeting, my new manager, a woman with a PhD in stats, said, "We value your ideas, share without fear." I suggested optimizing a data processing script, added multiprocessing with JobLib to speed it up by 30%, and they implemented it immediately, giving me credit. Emotionally, I felt reborn. After years of humiliation, I was finally in a place where I'm respected. I even started going to fintech meetups in Boston, made new friends, and for the first time in a long time felt life was on the upswing. No debts, savings growing, invested part of the compensation in index funds, and I'm planning a trip to Europe next year, something I dreamed of but couldn't afford. But here's the final twist that made this story perfect. About a month passed after my move, and I accidentally checked LinkedIn. I wasn't following Dave as I blocked him, but had mutual contacts. I see an update from a former colleague from Dave's company. Sad news, the company went bankrupt, CEO fired for financial machinations. I dug deeper, searched on Google keywords, Chicago fintech bankruptcy company name, and found articles in local business news. It turned out that after my gift, the delayed email with part of the evidence to the shareholders, an internal audit began. They found everything. Falsified expenses, e.g. $15K for consulting instead of the real $5K, with transfers to Dave's account via PayPal, ghost employees in payroll, adding fake names for payments to himself, and even manipulations with client reports, inflating revenues to attract investors. The SEC got involved because the company had public filings and the machinations were classified as securities fraud. Dave was fired immediately. Shareholders sued, demanding the return of the stolen money, about $150K according to calculations. The company declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy, clients fled, and Dave, now in deep shit. I learned more through mutual acquaintances, anonymously, via LinkedIn DMs. Dave lost his house in Chicago, foreclosure due to debts. His wife filed for divorce, probably tired of the scandals, and now he's looking for a job, sent out resumes. But with such a stain, accusations of theft, negative recommendations, no one hires him. An acquaintance said he lives in a cheap apartment on the outskirts, drives an old car, and even freelance work doesn't take him because his reputation is in the abyss. He's now struggling like I once was, credit card debts, depression, avoiding people. I saw his LinkedIn status open to work, but no updates, and the profile looks pathetic. Emotionally, it was closure. I felt no pity, only justice. You ruined my life through greed and ego, I thought, and now you get the same. The circle is closed. I didn't contact him, just watched from afar, and it gave me peace. Final thoughts: was this revenge worth the risk? Yes, because without it, I wouldn't have cleared my record and gotten compensation. But I don't advise everyone. It could have ended badly: court, prison for sabotage. It's better to go the legal route, HR, courts, but sometimes the system doesn't work, and you have to take matters into your own hands. Thank you, community, for being with me. Your comments gave me strength. If there's anything new, for example, if Dave sues, I'll write, but I think this is the end. Live well and don't tolerate toxic bosses. TLDR, in a new job in Boston with a higher salary and a clean record, found out Dave was fired for reporting manipulations, stealing money from the company. The company went bankrupt and he's now struggling in debt and loneliness like I once was. Revenge is complete, justice has prevailed. What are your thoughts on this story? Did the author do the right thing? What would you have done in his shoes? Share your opinion in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new stories.